What is going on, everyone? Badger here, and this falls strictly under the crossover I didn't know I needed, but sort of like. Imagine it's much the same. The first person that mixed peanut butter and chocolate, or like Mahler and Star Wars Theory now doing a stream together. Never wasn't expecting it, but good combination. So let's check this out. We have the future of entertainment with the Critical Drinker on Ben Shapiro's channel.
Well, we're going to take a break from talking about, World War III and the impending burning down of all of Western civilization and talk about the complete destruction of entertainment.
I would say ongoing, but yeah.
With Critical Drinker. Thanks for joining me.
Cheers, sir.
So, is creativity in Hollywood effectively dead? Because they're taking all the old IP and they're doing legacy projects that fundamentally betray the nature of the IP.
And I'm gonna guess what he's gonna say, that it's not the creativity is dead. It's that the people that are in charge right now have no creativity, and all they care about is their agenda, which is why they hijack everything.
Doing this all the time now.
The actual people that are creative, no one listens to them. They get pushed aside.
Now, either that or they are making sort of fluff that has no actual creativity to it. They'll make a movie from the 80s, but they'll just remake it with a different skin. But there's no heart in it because it's not original. You know exactly.
And it's made by people that aren't actually fans. They're made by the Rachel Zeglers that think the originals are creepy. They're weird.
So you can see the moves before they're making the moves. Have you seen anything creative coming out of Hollywood recently?
When you're talking about creativity, I think it still exists. It's just not incentivized in Hollywood anymore because it's safer to make either a remake of something that was older or another sequel, like say the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, because there's brand recognition with those things. And so there's the idea that you'll have a built-in audience. And I think a lot of the problems stem from movies just being too expensive now. If you're dropping $200-300 million on a film, you need a pretty solid guarantee that that's going to be financially successful.
And then you add in all the reshoots and the fact that they keep changing their minds on CGI scenes that have to be reshot. That's why they look horrible when they come out, because they don't get enough final passes. And that in general, they're given to noobs, for lack of a better term, people that have no business directing a big budget superhero movie with a bunch of CGI and fight scenes on like their second outing.
Successful. And the way they've done it is either we're going to do yet another superhero movie, or we're going to do a franchise film, or we're going to do a remake or a reboot of something that's got recognition.
And all of those would work if they were good and if they were loyal to the source material and they truly brought it to life instead of just co-opting it to push something.
There's far fewer now of these mid-budgeted movies around, say, the 30, 40, $50 million mark, which they've got enough resources to do a good film, tell a good story, an original story, but they haven't got so much investment in them that it's got to be super safe.
Godzilla -0 or -1.
That's why I enjoyed a movie like The Creator that came out this year. Not a perfect film by any measure, but it only cost $80 million. It looks like it cost 2 or 3 times as much. The visuals are fantastic, and it's an original sci-fi story. We just need more stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Nolan is the king of this because he was doing this if you watch Following, which is on a 0 budget, he's making terrific film.
He's also screaming at the top of his lungs right now to buy physical media so that they can't alter or change it, which they've already done, continue to do, and will get even worse in the future.
On a 0 budget, and then he has the ability to scale up. You do see a lot of these directors. Rian Johnson's a perfect example. You give him a big budget, and he actually goes more off the rails with the big budget because it allows him to.
We don't speak about him here.
Indulge all of his whims.
Taika Waititi is another example of that kind of director where
I'll ruin your mythos in a second, baby.
When he's doing things like Thor: Love and Thunder, he just looks like a child in a candy store who's been given unlimited money and just set loose. And it's like there's nothing to rein him in. So he's just like coming up with ideas on the fly, and they're costing millions of dollars to film. They might get into the movie, they might not. But either way, the end product is garbage because it's not focused. It's not they're not working with limited resources where you have to be very disciplined about what you spend your money on. And that's the difference.
From maintaining control of your assets to easing the burden on your loved ones, an estate plan can ensure your family stays prepared and protected. If you're looking for a way to set up your estate to offer financial benefits and more, you need to check out Trust and Will. Traditional estate planning, it can cost thousands of.
He's taught me to respect the grift. I am reacting to his content.
Bucks. Many one-size-fits-all solutions might not capture all the important details. With Trust and Will,
I am reacting to his content, so I'll let him get. We can all read it. Trust and Will.
They've simplified the process of creating and managing your will or trust online, from finding out what's right for your family to finalizing documents with a notary. My wife and I, we've rewritten our wills several times,
funny was
primarily to make sure that our
like a really serious topic,
you need to do
and all of a sudden he'll stop.
You can do it easily and quickly.
And that was the 15th dead baby. But you know what else is horrible? Having a bad mattress. And he'll go into a mattress read. I swear to, and then go right back into the horrible topic.
trustandwill.com/Shapiro.
All right.
That's 10% off free shipping at trustandwill.com/Shapiro. Go check them out right now. It's a super important thing to do. Make sure that you have your trust and your will all set up. Go check them out right now. 10% off free shipping at trustandwill.com/Shapiro to get started. It feels like we might be forced back into a model that's more workable.
Let's get past that. I won't be upset.
The fact that the theaters are effectively failing, the fact that you can't open a movie anymore, that there's certainly no stars except for Tom Cruise, apparently, who can open a movie. The star system is completely destroyed. And the fact that the streamers are beginning to start to lose subscribers, the budget on these movies is inherently going to drop. And you would imagine that as that budget drops, there are going to have to be people who are able to use a $30-40 million budget and make something that's actually pretty good.
I mean, look at the John Wick series, for example.
Reacher is great, and I can't imagine that is super expensive. Same thing with Terminal List.
Become extremely popular. That started out with John Wick 1, and it was 15, maybe 20 million at most that cost to make.
And it's the best of the series still.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like you've got a neat little thriller with great action sequences and stuff. It doesn't have to cost the earth. And that, I think, is where we're probably heading, because the assumption was we would go in that direction after COVID. The lockdowns closed down a lot of theaters, and it really shrunk audiences, because there's a certain number of people, I suppose, who just wouldn't go back to movie theaters after that. They just didn't want to be in that crowded place. And so audiences' attendance would be lower. The budgets had to come down. It didn't quite happen that way. They still kept making these crazy $200-300 million movies.
I think one of the things that COVID also did, which was interesting, is that it made clear the stuff that you actually want to see on a big screen and the stuff that you actually don't care about. And I think
that's definitely true. Was a movie worth No Way Home was the first one that most people were like, yeah, I'll risk something. Forget any diseases you might get. It's the people that are the worst part always. Like, if you get a good crowd, sure, but most people are on their phone, they're talking. That's the real reason not to have to deal with the theater.
I think those aren't quite the same as Hollywood thought they were. So Hollywood thought, okay, big action sequences with superheroes blowing things up. And no one's going to want to watch that on their phone or on their TV. They're going to want to go to a theater to see that. And the truth is, it kind of looks the same in a theater as it looks on your phone. But what doesn't is Oppenheimer, right? Well, what actually doesn't look the same in a theater as it does on your phone is Dune, right? The stuff that's actually kind of...
It's environment, it's sound.
And truly artistic and creative, that stuff you actually do need to see in a theater. Like, I regret that I saw Dune first time on my phone. Like, that was a mistake. I should have gone and seen that in a theater and it felt the theater rumble when the ships are landing. And I felt the same way with Oppenheimer. I first saw it in a non-IMAX theater, then I saw it in an IMAX theater again. And the first time I saw it, I was like, this is a big movie. And then in the IMAX theater, it's an even bigger movie. And that's a biopic, which is insane. I mean, again, Nolan is Nolan. He's amazing at what he does, except for Tenet.
But by the way, in no way does this discount the awesomeness of seeing that last in-game portal scene with the crowd. You know, the only other time I've heard a theater pop like that is when Yoda came out in episode 2 and ignited his lightsaber and fought for the first time. So it's just those type of events, and obviously No Way Home when the Parkers and Toby and Andrew came out. Other than that, few and far between to get huge moments that justify all the other BS that deals with going into a movie theater.
That was too much Christopher Nolan in one movie, I think.
Oh my gosh, that was the end of him playing with time. You would hope, like that was like he's now explored this idea down to the marrow where there's nothing left to do. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Nolan does next. I'm always fascinated. He's the only person who announces a movie and I buy my ticket like 2 years in advance.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those directors where you genuinely get excited to see what he's going to come up with next. And Oppenheimer was a great example of it. It seemed like the kind of film that wasn't going to appeal to a mass audience because ultimately it's a historical
science crossover scene of Einstein and Oppenheimer.
Biopic. It's not action packed. It's very much grounded in reality, and it's told in the form of flashbacks and so on. So it's quite a complex movie, and it's long. All of those things should count against it, and yet it was massively successful. It's great to see. It's great to know that there is still a huge audience for films like that, and hopefully we see more of it.
Well, I really appreciate this.
Well, it seemed like the end result of that is that the future is you better start making good shit again for cheaper. Lower budgets that are a little bit easier to get a buck back. You know, you can't spend 300 million, then spend another 300 million or whatever ridiculous amounts, and then expect to get money back. You know, whatever the budget is plus twice for marketing, and then they do those reshoots. You just can't do it. They got to follow the Godzilla -1, and 15 million or less if you believe the director. And look at what it's making already. You know, character and story first. Character and story first, not agenda. Agenda last. Done right, all your messages can come through, but you got to have some substance. And it sounds like that's what Strinker's saying. All right, everyone. I hope you like this. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one.